Hi guys, it's Ty and welcome back to my channel. So this is video number 3 in my favorite series. So in case you missed the other 2 videos, what I decided to do for the week of my birthday is make videos Monday through Friday talking about my favorite books based on different genres. So I've already done my favorite fantasy sci-fi books. I've already done my favorite mystery thrillers. So today we're going to be talking about my favorite romance books. And so I'm not going to go into a lot of detail around the plot. I'm just going to give a really basic synopsis over each of the books, but I am going to go into detail about everything that I loved about these books. So we will go ahead and get started. So the first book that I'm going to talk about is a young adult romance. This is Reggie and Delilah's Year of Falling by Elise Bryant, which I read this one at the beginning of this year, I believe. So in this, we're just following the romance between Reggie and Delilah. They first meet on New Year's Eve, and then every time after that, they just happen to run into each other on like a random holiday. And so we just follow them over the course of the year as their romance develops. So I really like this one because not only did it follow the romance between Reggie and Delilah, but it got a little deeper because both of these characters are dealing with some things in their personal lives that has to do with them like being able to accept themselves. So we have Reggie, who is a black kid, but he's really into D&D, so that's Dungeons and Dragons, something I know nothing about. But he gets made fun of a lot for that, especially from his older brother, because his older brother really just sees him as a nerd and just cannot wrap his head around why Reggie is so into Dungeons and Dragons. And so Reggie really has to learn to accept the fact that he likes things that is different from everybody else, and that is okay. And then we have Delilah, who is mixed, but she is a part of a all-white rock band. And she has a lot of trouble with trying to accept herself because, you know, she's mixed and she doesn't know if she should be more in line with her black side or her white side. But then she feels like her bandmates only chose her because they see her as black, and because she's black and she's in this all white band, it has gave them a lot of attention, especially on social media. So she kind of feels like her bandmates are using her for views. And so she also has to deal with trying to accept herself. And so I really liked that this touched more on just the romance, but I did like the romance between Reggie and Delilah, and I liked that there was also a little bit of conflict that we saw in their relationship, because at a certain point Delilah finds out that Reggie has lied to her about something, and so then these young kids have to figure that out. So I really like this. If you are into young adult romance, I would definitely recommend this, or if you know someone that is into young adult romance, I would definitely recommend this. So the next one that I have here is How to Fail at Flirting by Denise Williams. This was the first book that I read by this author, and it has encouraged me to read all of the books that she has written. I am behind on her short story collection that she wrote. I think it came out last year, but I do plan to read that soon. So this one follows our main characters, Naya and Jake. So Naya has just gotten out of an abusive relationship, and she is encouraged by her friends to kind of get back out there and try and meet someone else and have a little bit of fun. She comes across Jake, who she finds out she is actually really into, but the thing with Jake is he was just hired at her job at the university to come and kind of like clean house, and Naya's job just might be on the chopping block. So I really liked the relationship between Naya and Jake and how we got to see that grow. It's very spicy. We do have some nice spicy scenes in there, but I also liked how we really got some insight into Naya and her previous relationship. Like I mentioned, it was a bit abusive. She suffered a lot of emotional abuse, some physical abuse, and because of that, it kind of dictates how she was reacting and responding to things in her new relationship with Jake. And I just like the character of Jake and how he was trying to be really patient with her, especially when he learned the things that she went through. And I just liked their dynamic overall. And then I also kind of liked the little conflict of interest that they had in terms of them working at the same job and not trying to let other people know that, because she was in fear of losing her job. I have not read any more of Denise Williams's books that I have liked as much as I like this one, but I do like them, and I would highly suggest, like, if you've never read any of her books, to start here because I do think this is her strongest one. The next book that I have is a holiday romance. This is The 12 Dates of Christmas by Jenny Bayless. I have not seen anybody talk about this book, and I absolutely adored this. I had so much fun with this. But this follows our main character, Kate, and she is looking for love, and her best friend ends up signing her up for this like dating website. And so leading up to Christmas, she has to go on like 12 different dates with 12 different guys, and these dates are quite disastrous. But she is also starting to have some feelings for her old school friend Matt, who works at this cafe that she frequents. And so this book was hilarious to me. I'm not sure if it was like one of those books that I read just like at the right time, but I do think this is a really good holiday romance. The dates that she went on were hilarious, and I also really loved like the budding romance between her and Matt. But what I loved the most was these dates that she went on. I just felt like her situation was just so relatable with her trying to do like this online dating and then being set up on these blind dates. I just thought this was a fun time. If you enjoy holiday romances, I would definitely pick this up. I have read this author's other books. I think I'm only missing one that I have not read, and I enjoyed them. Another book of hers that I really enjoyed, I think was called Meet Me at Christmas. I could have that title messed up, but it was one that I read last year that I thought was awesome as well. I just love how she does the characters. But out of all of the ones that I read, this one is the most humorous. So if you like a little humor in your story, I would definitely pick this up. So then we have Yours Truly by Abby Jimenez. This is book 2 in the Part of Your World series, and this is actually the book that I started with. I think I read this one last year as well. Another one that I fell in love with. I absolutely love the characters, but in this we're following 2 doctors. We have Brianna and Jacob, and so Brianna is dealing with a lot in her life. Her younger brother is needing a kidney transplant, so then she meets a new doctor in the hospital, which is Jacob, and they do not have a good first meeting. They do not like each other, but then they start to exchange some notes and realize that they're each not so bad. Brianna actually finds out that Jacob has agreed to be the kidney donor for her brother. Because she wants to extend her thanks to him for doing that, she agrees to like fake date him because he has just gotten out of a relationship. So his ex is now in a relationship with his brother, and so his family really wants him to find someone else. So Brianna agrees to fake date him. I absolutely love both of these characters. The reason why I think this one is my favorite out of that series is because I felt like parts of it was so relatable. So we get a lot around her brother and how he is dealing with needing a kidney transplant, and that is something that I personally could relate to because I have a family member that is currently on dialysis and is needing a new kidney. So everything that was talked about in this and how Brianna was feeling and how her brother was feeling and dealing with that situation, I could definitely relate to. I also really like the character of Jacob because he deals with really bad anxiety, and reading from his POV at points gave me anxiety, and I just loved how the author was able to capture that in this story. I could really feel his anxiety coming off of the page. Not only does this have the fake dating trope, but it also has a miscommunication trope, which could either be a hit or miss because I just don't understand why people just can't talk about things. But for some reason, it just really worked in here, and it made sense on why they just felt like they couldn't talk to each other about their feelings. So I really, really enjoyed this. Like I said, I read this out of order. I don't think you necessarily need to read this series in order. There's 3 books out right now. If you want to start with this one, you can. I don't feel like I missed anything by then going back and reading book 1 and then book 3. But yeah, I really enjoyed this one. Then the last book that I want to talk about is Before I Let Go by Kennedy Ryan. This is my first book by Kennedy Ryan, and I did not realize that she had so many books out. So I definitely am trying to go and read her backlist. But this is the first book in a series, and that series is literally escaping me, but it's the first book, and I have read both books that are out so far. But in this one, we are following Yasmin and Josiah. They have been divorced for a couple of years, but they are co-parenting their children, and they are still running their restaurant together. And we are following them as they are slowly realizing that they still have feelings for each other. I ate this up. I did not know anything about this book until I saw it all over my Instagram. And so I knew I had to pick this up, and it did not disappoint. I loved the tension between Josiah and Yasmin and how their feelings, like I swear you could feel it coming off of the page. And I love the books where there is like so much tension and build up to like the romance, and that is exactly what we got. I also liked how this, again, it got a little bit deeper because there was a reason behind their divorce, and it was something that they did not communicate well with each other, which is what caused them to get a divorce. But they have dealt with a lot of grief, and Yasmin was able to seek therapy for it, but then Josiah is one of those people that did not believe in therapy. And this book goes into a lot of detail about how to deal with grief and how therapy is good and people should go because they will get a lot out of it. And so I really liked that. And I also liked their relationship. I liked how even though they were divorced, they were still able to co-parent and work together. Now, there are certain points in here where I just felt like their like relationship post-divorce was just a little too perfect. A lot of the situations that they found themselves in, I just kind of felt like, now normal people I don't think would react that way, but still I do like how we got a depiction of how even though you are divorced, you could still work together and co-parent and be like in a healthy space between the two partners. So I really enjoyed this, and this is a series that I would highly recommend. So that is all that I have for you guys. I will link the other videos that I have in the series down below in case you guys are interested. And if I have any individual reviews for any of these books, I will link those down below too in case you guys are interested in more information. But I will see you guys next time. Bye.